Hey, and welcome. Here, we're going to check out a stack of packs from the 1990 NFL Pro Set series. And there's a couple really good potential cards in here. We have the hologram card, a lot of good players, and I have a new way of looking up prices and determining what is valuable and what is not. And I'll give you a little more info about that in just a moment. But as you know, we have our winner's circle up here. And when we pull out a player from a pack, the best one will go on the circle. And when we pull out a different one from another pack, if they're better, they will replace them until at the end there's only one left standing. We'll see who the winner is going to be today. And when we find somebody really good, they get the horn. And if a card ends up not being great, it gets the other horn. So we'll pull out these packs and then I'll tell you a little something new that I've been doing in terms of pricing research. So here's the box. It's fresh and it's a fun sound and a fun view. So interesting. This looks a little, oh yeah, maybe pressed upon. I don't know. But let's take this stack out of the pack and we'll do these 9 today. And then when it comes to researching pricing, so I used to be looking up a website. Just want to make sure I get the name right. Yeah, Sports Card Pro. And they had a lot of good information on there about cards and pricing and sets. And I'm still learning about this. And I found out that for some of their value estimates, for example, PSA 10s and things like that, some of them are actually pulled from eBay listings and sold in completed auctions, and some of them are algorithmically derived, which means that may be projecting a value for a card that is never sold for that value and may never sell for that value. It kind of uses other cards and whatever they use in that algorithm. So in my previous videos, I've been referencing a lot of those values because that's what I thought what they were. But now that I've done more research, I've learned that is not always the case. And so for this 1990 set, I've gone through and made my own list of what cards are worth looking for. So that's going to do 2 things for us. One, that's going to make this a lot faster to go through. Before I was looking at each card as we pulled it. So now the amount of cards we're looking for are going to be a lot less. And then so the parameters are essentially if the card may have a value in a PSA 10 of around $30, $40 or more, then we're going to pull that. Anything else may be worth a lot less. Also knowing that very, very few cards, even if they're right out of the pack, will grade a PSA 10. So we're not even sure if we're putting something aside if it will be a 10. We're just going to put the candidates aside. And then sometimes the drop off is huge between, if say a 10 is worth, $35, maybe a PSA 9 is worth 8. And obviously grading costs anywhere from, $18 to $25 per card when you factor in shipping and discounts and things like that. So, and if you want to sell on eBay, there are fees. So, all that said, we have a new way of pricing, we have a new way of opening, and I think it's going to be a lot faster and a lot better. So with that, let's open up this first pack of this new box and see what we've got. The big things I'm looking for are going to be the Super Bowl hologram that was included in these packs, and then a couple really good rookie cards, and we'll see what we got. There's also a Payne Stewart, a golfer, has a card which is a #1 card, and that's a pretty special one to get. So let's see what we've got, and I think, here we go. Let's turn these around this way. On the back, we have our scratch off here. So all of those events are already over, so we're not going to get much from there. But let's look at these cards and go through. And so if we find something that's worth it, I'm going to stop. But otherwise, I'll just kind of show the cards as we go. and I won't go into all the naming and things like I had done before, and that way we should be a lot quicker through this. Also, if you have a set of these, or packs that you're opening, then this should help make it easier to kind of follow along which ones are valuable. The ones that we're not noting are going to be worth maybe $1 or two as commons, which is typically only if somebody's looking for that to complete a set or part of their collection. Otherwise, you can get an entire set of these cards for maybe $15, $20 or something. So we'll just kind of go through the ones that aren't on our new list, and we'll try to find some really cool ones. So here we go. We're just cruising through. All right, we got a Joe Nash, Stephon Page, Roger Craig, James Brooks on the Bengals, Bruce Wilkerson. And what I may do is any kind of really cool players or big names or cool cards, I'll just put aside. And here's the Super Bowl card. They have one for each Super Bowl. So there's the Super Bowl 15. That's pretty cool. All right, that was pack one. A lot faster. What do you think about that? So share your thoughts on how this flows. I want to make it informative and fun to follow. So if you have suggestions, by all means, share those, and we'll kind of build this together into whatever we enjoy doing and whatever makes sense. So here we go with pack number 2, and we have our scratch off again. Let's turn these around. All right, we got Tim McDonald. We got Sam Mills. And Donald Igwebuike, 313. Definitely welcome your advice on a better way to pronounce that. And Bob Griese. John Offerdahl. Lewis Lips. Harry Hamilton. Don Majkowski. And David Wyman. Ricky Sanders. All right. Steve Jordan of the Vikings. It's been pretty quiet so far. We're looking for something big. We got Greg Bell of the Rams. Willie Galt of the Raiders. Jerry Ball of the Lions. And Super Bowl 16, 49ers over the Bengals. All right, next pack up. This is way faster, way better. I like this style. All right, let's see. Keep trying to figure out what the right way is to turn these around. All right, J.T. Smith. And Steve Atwater. Crawford Kerr. And Keith Millard of the Vikings. 89 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Sean Farrell, number 203. And interesting how some of these are upside down. Ray Donaldson, 339. Paul Gruber, 310. Mark Murphy. Marv Levy. Ernest Biner. Jerry Burns. Some of these cards have pretty cool photos on them. Some good action, some good colors. John Robinson. Steve Berline. It's a cool action shot. And head coach Dan Reeves. And Cowboys over the Dolphins in Super Bowl VI. All right, next pack coming up. And these open really nicely. I like that. Some of the newer packs, you kind of get jammed up on them, but these open pretty smooth. So here we go. First up, Ron Wolfley. Simon Fletcher. Jim Jeffcoat. Let's move these over here. I'll put aside some of the bigger names, and that way we'll have a pile of them. Christian Okoye. I think we might have seen him a little earlier. Don Griffin. Lee Williams. And Ray Perkins. We're getting a bunch of head coaches in these packs. I wonder if that means anything. Because I've always been curious if there's an order to how they put these in, even if it's on a box level or something bigger. But I wonder how certain cards are sometimes next to other cards, as we're looking. But we got Bud Carson, Eric Martin. And again, most of these we're going through are going to be, relatively, dollar cards and things like that. There might be some error cards in here, but even they aren't going to have huge value unless they're on our list. So most of these are going to be your generic set cards. And Bud Carson. And we got Super Bowl 28 or 18, Super Bowl 18. Raiders and over the Redskins. All right, next pack up. So we're looking for Payne Stewart. We're looking for the trophy hologram. And then anything cool. There's a couple error cards that are really cool. Obviously the Fred Marion. Then we got some cards like Joe Montana and some other players that'll be great to get. Tim Rosenbach. Actually, we need somebody for our winner's circle right there. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's see. The first one that jumps out at us from this pack, we'll put in Dwayne Bickett. Mike Coffer. Can a kicker take the winner's circle? Maybe. Ron Holmes. There's got to be somebody here that we're thinking of from a big game, or let's see what we've got. Shane Conlon. Lewis Billups. So I'm going to say soon. Actually, the last card that's a player. Sterling Sharp. All right. I think big Packers player. 114. And then you got Mike Dial. I think maybe the last card in this pack we'll put in the winner's circle. William White. George Seifert. Jackie Slater, Chris Dolman, Eric Metcalf, 74. All right, he's the last card, and he's going to be the current holder of the winner's circle, and we'll see what else comes our way next. And Super Bowl 10, Steelers over the Cowboys in 1976. That's a cool looking card. Next pack we got. All right, this has been very quiet. This has been a very quiet few packs. I don't know if that's good news. Maybe there's something big coming, or maybe it's just the way this stack will go. And you never know. And that's why we do what we do. But something good should be in here. Ernie Jones of the Cardinals. Derek Thomas of the Chiefs. John Hand of the Colts. Jim Mora, another head coaching card there. Boomer Esiason. All right, there we go. Definitely a great player. So let's put him on our winner's circle for the moment. And Derek Thomas. Let's see what we've got going on. It's interesting how some of these cards are reversed in the pack. I haven't really encountered that before with this Pro set. Carl Zander. So I wonder if that means some of those were inserts or how they do their sorting and packing. But if anyone knows, feel free to share. Leslie O'Neal. Marty Schottenheimer, head coach. That's a cool one. All right, we got Jerry Rice. Always a good card. That's on our list. Take a look at that. Cannot beat Jerry. He gets the horn. All right, there we go. So now we're going to put him into a sleeve, and I'll show you the next thing that I learned. So before, I was having some challenges getting the cards into the sleeves without nicking the bottom. And you can see here, straight out of the pack, this already has some white off of here, so it's not going to necessarily grade a PSA 10. So it's not worth that very much. But if we do get good cards, and I'll put this in here for now, I was trying to get them in without nicking the edges. And I was trying to put them in the top down, and I learned that wasn't working too great. So then I realized if I just tucked them in sideways, it went in, like sideways here, and parallel to one another, and went in a lot better. But there was still tricky kind of getting it over that initial edge. So then I watched and I tried a couple things, and I saw someone suggest you rip the end. And so I found that is incredibly, incredibly easy. You basically pinch it so that end slides open, and then this card just goes right in like that, and then right down, and there's nothing that will easily catch on any corner or any edge. So that I found to be probably the best. It means you have to kind of pre-make these, where you just cut them with a knife, or you can put your finger in and pop it out the end. I often use this little pointer that I use for the videos, but I just put it in, really quickly just pop it out, and it usually opens up the edge about so. And then it makes it really easy to get them in. Now you may say, well, it's not going to protect the corners. That would be correct if they're staying in here. Anything that may get reviewed further, I'll put into a card saver, one of those semi-rigid holders, and then that'll keep it in and kind of press down so it won't move, and then it can obviously be moved in and out from the top of this penny sleeve. So we're not going to be relying on this corner to protect that corner per se, but cutting that open makes it a lot easier to get the cards into the penny sleeves, which of course give it a lot of protection just like that. So that's a little trick I learned. Definitely welcome to other ideas. If you know something better, by all means share. What I do know, Jerry Rice is going to overtake our winner's circle right now. Definitely Definitely deserving of it. And we got a good one. So with that, let's keep on moving and see who's next. Joey Browner. Whoop. And Rick Natier. And Super Bowl 13. Steelers over the Cowboys. And that was 1979. All right, next pack up. Let's see, go this way. All right. Jim Jensen. Gil Bird. Roan Stark. Chris Dolman. Cornelius Bennett. And I guess, see, let's see if this is only one card that's upside down. See, that's what I'm saying. Interesting how that works. So maybe the Pro Bowl cards were inserted at a certain point. So right now it's a mystery, but that's what we're seeing. Tim McGee of the Bengals. That's a cool photo right there. Johnny Holland of the Packers. Steve Wisniewski of the Raiders. So he's blocking for Bo Jackson. This card has some value to it if it's in good grade. All right, let's tuck him in his sleeve. And he's blocking, for those of you who are kind of looking, he's blocking for Bo Jackson. So that's a pretty cool and popular duo right there. So again, we'll take our penny sleeve and we'll kind of slide that edge open. And I love it. I can just slide this card right in and then right down. And there's no pressure on anything. And we'll check that one out later. So, all right, we've got, actually, let me just move these real quick and kind of keep this one with the others. Cool. Art Monk. Let's see. That's a cool card there. Felix Wright. Jim Everett. Anthony Carter. Charles Mann. And we have the Super Bowl with the Giants over the Broncos. Super Bowl number 21. And next pack coming up. See who we've got coming off the top here. I guess we could look at the side and think, hey, is there a hologram in there anywhere? I don't know. This one card looks different right here than all the others. I don't know what that may be, but we'll find out. No snooping early here. You see it when I see it, and I see it when you see it. 326 is Wilbur Marshall of the Redskins. Billy Joe Tolliver, quarterback on the Chargers. Andre Rison, wide receiver at this time on the Colts. Rich Camarillo on the Cardinals. And we got Jim Richter on the Bills. Upside down cards again. This may be the Pro Bowl. I don't know. 360. Mike Munchak. So that, okay, that seems to be a pattern then. The Pro Bowl cards are inserted upside down in comparison to the rest. So is that a clue to something? I don't know. But that may also be what we had seen is like, hey, that card looks different from the side. That might have been it and why. Perry Kemp. Irv Eatman. Mark Rypien. Ralph Mojijenko of the Redskins. Kevin Green. Keith Millard. Thane Gash. And the Redskins Dolphins in Super Bowl 17. All right, we're down to our last pack. We are cruising through. I like this new format a lot better. It's a lot more fun for me too. And we get to focus more on the checking out the packs and the cards. All right, let's see what we've got here. It's our scratcher, Rich Camarillo. I think we've seen him earlier as well. Vincie Glenn. Bill Brooks. Got Sterling Sharp. It's a cool photo. Mark Kelso. Thurman Thomas. This is going to be the Pro Bowl card. Sam Weish, head coach. Brent Fullwood. Mike Ditka. All right. There we go. Hall of Fame. Morton Anderson. Great players. Great players. John Taylor. It's a cool looking card. Fred Strickland. Scott Studwell. Paul Farron. And our last Super Bowl, 49ers over Dolphins in Super Bowl 19. All right, so there we have our poll. Let's take a look at the overall haul. Pretty quiet today. I think our two biggest cards outside of some other names are going to be just our Steve Wisniewski, because he's blocking, and ultimately our Jerry Rice. So that's going to be our big winner of the day. Jerry takes it home all the way to the end zone, just like he's done so many times before. And you're here with us, so thanks for joining. Hope you had a good time. Hope you learned something. And there you have it. Until next time.